In this video, we're going to look at example 3, where we graph a function of the form ax plus b over cx plus d, and we're asked what is the graph of the function f of x equals 2x plus 1 over 3x minus 4. Just get rid of that, forgot that was there. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to determine if there's a vertical asymptote. And remember, to do that, we need to find out when the function is undefined. So we want to take the denominator and figure out when the denominator is equal to 0. All right, so we're going to set 3x minus 4 equals 0, and then let's just quite simply solve for x. We'll add 4 and then divide by 3. So x would be equal to 4 over 3, or 1/3. And that means we have a vertical asymptote at x equals 4/3. And let's highlight that one in red. So that's our vertical asymptote. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of sketch that on our graph. So 4/3 will be 1 and 1/3. So that's going to be somewhere, again, it's just a sketch, so it's not going to be perfect. But let's say somewhere about here. All right, so we have, again, a vertical asymptote of x equals 4/3. Now, after you've determined if there's a vertical asymptote, kind of the next sound step would be to determine if there's a horizontal asymptote. So let's determine if there is a horizontal asymptote. All right, and to do that, we need to look at our function, and we need to compare the degrees of the numerator and the degree of the denominator. Now, what's going on here, let's just do this one in orange. The leading degree of the numerator and denominator is 1. All right, it's the highest power. They're both the same. And if you remember from the previous videos, we had case 1, case 2, and case 3. Where case 1 is if the numerator was less than the denominator. Case 2 was if the numerator is greater than the denominator. And case 3, it's when the the degrees are the same in both the numerator and the denominator. If that's the case, we need the ratio of the leading coefficients. So in this specific problem, we want to look at the leading coefficients, which in this case are 2 and 3. So our horizontal asymptote is going to be the ratio of those leading coefficients. And remember, horizontal goes through the y-axis, so it's going to be y equals something. In this case, it's going to be 2 over 3. So my horizontal asymptote would be y equals 2 over 3. And let's just sketch that. So 2 over 3 is going to be somewhere between 0 and 1. It's going to be kind of close to the x-axis. So let's say somewhere about here. Again, not going to be perfect, but this is the general idea. We're just drawing a sketch right now. Okay, so we have the asymptotes, and both the vertical and horizontal. And now we would need to figure out how to graph this. So the things you would want to do, and I'm going to set up the chart, but I'm not going to work everything out to save a little bit of time in this video. But what you would look to do is you're going to need an XY chart. All right, you're going to have to find some points on the graph. And some of the good points I would suggest you pick are, you're going to want something to the right. So let me do some highlighting here. You're going to want a couple points to the right of the vertical asymptote, and you're going to want a couple points to the left of the asymptote. You don't want to pick points right on the asymptotes, although in this case you would really never pick fractions anyway. So what I would suggest that you do, I would pick points, I would try 2, and since this graph only goes up to 4, I would probably try 2, 3, and 4. That might give me a good idea of what my graph might look like. And once again, these are sketches, so they might not be perfect. And then I would also probably choose the left side. I would choose maybe 1, 0, and maybe -1. You would then take each of these points, let's not use the same color, You would take each of these points and plug them in as your x values, and that'll help you fill out the chart. Now this is if you were doing it manually by hand. If you're using a graphing calculator, you would type in the entire function, and then you could go to the table tool, and it'll just fill out the chart for you. But the numbers you're going to want to pick in terms of x are some to the left and some to the right of your vertical asymptote. Now, I'm going to take a shortcut here. I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit on this. And because I've already looked at this, I know our graph is going to look something like this. Not perfect, definitely not exactly how it's going to look, but that was not very good. We're going to look at something that cuts through like that. Okay, so it's just a sketch. Again, if you're doing this by hand, you would need to find the numbers that go here. You'd have to plug in your x values and determine what the f of x or the y would be. So we're trying to save a little bit of time. I'm not going to do each of those manually. And again, you could always use some type of graphing calculator function to fill out your chart. All right, that's it for this. Make sure you're just looking for vertical and horizontal asymptotes, and then you'll fill in your XY chart. That's it.